Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order, our council meeting of April 23rd, 2026. And just a couple things for those of you who received the agenda and looked at it. It is a republished agenda. We had missed one part. The planning and development 9.1 was added, so maybe not everyone has been had a chance to look at it. It is on our agenda, though. And I do want to say congratulations and thanks to all our administrative professionals. It was Administrative Professional Day yesterday. And so I would like to pass that on to all our administrative professionals, our staff. And I don't know if any of you are listening in the background. That goes to our whole staff in this building. So thank you very much to you. And then I just want to turn it over to Anne for a minute for an introduction.
Thank you. Through the chair, I just want to introduce Jillian Campbell. She is our new GM of Corporate Services, replacing Carla, who left us at the end of March after 37 years. So welcome, Jillian, and if you want to say a quick hello.
I love how she put me on the spot. Thank you for the warm welcome, everyone.
Well, welcome here. Also, it's great to see you and you becoming part of the team. And our team is nearly complete now. We're very thankful for Anne and hiring people to replace those that we've lost or that have left. And I think there's only one more that's coming on board in about a month's time or so. Beginning of June will be, and that'll make our leadership team complete. And council is pretty excited about all that, and we're excited about where we've been going, and with working together with our CAO Anne. It's really been a pleasure and a great 3 months to start with. And we're at 6 months now since we've been elected. So there's a lot of water under the bridge in those 6 months. And council's pretty excited about where we're going to lead this county in the future. So thank you very much to all of you. Okay, with that, we'll go to the agenda. Any additions to the agenda? Dale?
I'm not sure if it's an addition, but at the 6-month period, Anne, I believe we were supposed to get a recap on the financial. Is that happening today?
No.
Not 6 months from when you got elected?
Yeah.
Was that direction given
So
before?
it'll be ready for the next month then?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, I know what you mean, the financial reporting. Yes, we'll.
Quarterly.
It's quarterly.
Quarterly, yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
so it'll be at the end of May.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that. So I believe the 28th of May is the meeting, and that's where we're expecting the quarterly update. All right. Any other additions? Or that is not an addition. So I'll entertain a motion to accept the agenda. Jill? Discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Okay, public input session. Andy, you're up. As always, please state your name and we give you 3 minutes.
Andy Hrupchuk. Township Road 564. There's been trees falling on it. Right now, there's a willow that is 3/4 across the road. Public Works hasn't done nothing on that stretch of road. It should be, somebody should be looking after it. That's a safety problem. I told you about over a month ago. Now, probably Public Works ain't going to do nothing because it's going to be something like bird bird nesting. But then you gotta remember, birds do not pay taxes to this county. They got wings, they can fly off. But something has to be done on that road. I got lots more to say, but I ain't gonna say no more.
I agree with you, Andy.
Okay, thank you, Andy. We will certainly look into that. I have lots of trees down in, on my road too, and when I go out and I just go clean them. But I do get it, it is important, and staff is here. I'm sure they've made a note and it'll be looked after. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. All right. We have no one else. No one else? Okay, then let's continue on then. So the minutes, you've all seen the minutes, had a chance to peruse them. Any errors or omissions to the minutes?
Just a question. I see on roll call, there's no members of the public were present online at the last meeting. Is that true, or just curious? It's a odd response, like when we have this. Okay.
Do we know? Okay. Yeah, I noticed that too.
Well, I know there was, so.
Okay, Trista?
We can go back through and check the numbers on the recording and add them if you wish.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, it'd be good. It's nice if that's accurate. All right, any other errors or omissions? If not, Dale moves to accept the minutes with corrections, that can be corrected after you get the information. All in favor? That is carried. Okay, now moving on to, we'll jump ahead into 7, Public Works and Operations. We have a presentation at 10 o'clock for our financials, but let's go to Public Works, 7A1. Brad.
Morning. Thank you for the time today. As per our usual monthly gathering, I will give you the operations report. I'm assuming most of us read it, so again, I'll kind of highlight and then open for questions, comments. When we go back to the retrospective, we have our work order summary for everybody. As per council's request, we do have the work orders completed. I think that's something a little different than we did last month at council's request to kind of show you where we're at. So 104 total for the month of March with 58 completed and the rest in progress. We have a little bit of a road ban permit summary for you to look at with the road data permits and as well as our conditional bans. Foreman reports. March again was a little bit wild with the weather. Lots of snowstorms, some high winds, temperatures all over the place. Created quite a few challenges for us. There was everything from snow removal to culvert thawing, clearing trees after the windstorms. Yeah, it was a very mixed bag in March and kept us on our toes. So I think there's still a little bit of residual effects from all of that we're still working on, and especially the culverts with the thaw now. When it comes to the greater end of things, it was fairly similar. You know, they at times needed to be on the culverts as well, off their machines, as roads were pretty wet at times to be able to actually do any work on with the grader, so they were dispatched to help out with culverts and trees. Having said that, there was a lot of snow to remove with graders. They worked on that, including the snow flag program as well. It was noted that we did with the snowfall, not that we get a ton of them, but custom grading jobs were at a minimum. We weren't really into doing that at the time. We had enough stuff to do, so yeah, that wasn't something that really was happening too much. Graders are, at the time of the report, graders were rotating in to start taking off wings and getting them set up for spring, summer work. I believe by the end of this week, we will have them all ready for the summer workload rather than winter. Blinds are closed, but it didn't look promising for the next day or two here. So, moving on to the winter gravel program. We had about 20 days that we were actually able to gravel in the winter. The weather was again a bit of a challenge for us. We did not quite achieve what we were looking for, the 40 to 50% of our total gravel to be done in the winter. I think we're closer to, it was close. I think we were around 38% of total finished in the winter. So 75 of the estimated 88 miles for winter were completed. All things considered, not too bad, but just have a little bit of a breakdown there too on where the winter gravel was placed essentially in that little chart. Sure.
I got a road, in my division, Range Road 13, gets about 700 vehicles a day. And now we did that, would be the north portion there before 642. It's about 2 miles. We graveled that here in March, and most of that is in the ditch. Like, I have a mixed opinion about the winter gravel program, but anyway, is it better to do let's do I think it works better on low volume traffic roads. You don't fling it all in the ditch. Is that something we've looked at, to go back and see? Because I feel like most of that gravel just ended up in the ditch and it's kind of a waste. But then we did some on Range Road 21 as well. That sees about 10 cars a day. That seems to work better than the high volume roads. Just, food for thought, I think, or if we've looked into that.
Through the chair, that is a good point to look to add into our assessment of what we do for winter. There's a few factors that go into it, and I absolutely think that's probably a good one that we could add in there. We kind of look at pertaining to a little bit of road bans and pits and everything, and coming off of when it's nice and cold in the winter, coming off some of the hard surface roads to get in there just to kind of help. But yeah, I don't mind adding an extra metric into the evaluation for sure.
Because it's because once you get that frost out of there, then you get that bond, or else you kind of get that 2 layers going, and it doesn't seem to do well on high traffic roads, right? That's just my thought on it.
Okay, Dale?
Well, I have 2 things. One's a comment. This isn't the first time we've done winter graveling that I know of. We've done it for years, and if there's been no process at looking at the success of it, I agree. We need to start looking at, is this actually successful? So that would be a good thing to write down like you have. The other question I have is in my particular division, could you give me the roads that you winter graveled?
Through the chair, I don't have it here with me, but I do have maps that I absolutely can get out.
Could you just provide that and email it to me? Thank you.
I think we received that. Yeah.
I do believe, through the chair, I do believe that was sent, but we'll make sure.
Yeah, when actually way back in February, I think you gave the exact roads that everything was being done.
Right,
We
but
received-
I'm asking for the ones that got completed,
Oh, okay.
because they didn't all get completed.
Okay, thank you. Barry?
I do have a question from just outside my subdivision. That road we did on Township Road 540 and 31 to 32, I believe, that road's been blocked off most of the year. and it looks like a disaster right now. Is anybody looking into that?
Through the chair, yep. So what I found out, I kind of came into this project a little bit late into it. There's a lot of work that still needs to be done, and somehow it got opened when it probably shouldn't have been opened.
Okay, so how did that happen? Here we rushed the job, we rushed it through, we paid them, and now the road's not completed. Now we have very upset people. So who's responsible for that? And no recourse.
Through the chair, I don't have the answer for that. As I said, I kind of was thrust into this project recently. I'm sorry, I can't answer that at this time.
Can we find some answers on that?
Through the chair, this is one of those projects that we'll be looking at to see what happened, why it happened, and we'll let council know. And I think some of the challenges were capital projects were split between departments. We've corrected that organizationally. I'm not saying that's going to fix everything, but with this specific one, we want to look at it. What happened? Why did it happen? So that we don't replicate that same mistake in the future.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Brad.
Okay, so kind of what's ongoing right now. Again, the steam units are out in full force. We're starting to move on to doing some sign works. I guess this is for March, but it's kind of giving us what's going on anyway. Potholing has begun, and still dealing with some weather damages. A lot of water flow right now. Working on that right now, and. Graders the good news, graders now with the roads have dried out in a lot of places where they can be out in full force and starting to tune up rough spots and get everything going there again. And that's where we're at with the preview section. Programs and projects, this is not necessarily my wheelhouse, but I can give you the update since it's on here that the crack sealing and line painting tenders went public at the beginning of March for summer road construction season. Work is to be completed on various roadways, and the tenders closed March 26th for crack sealing and 23rd for line painting.
So have those tenders been opened?
Yes, sorry, they closed, and I believe they've been awarded. That's the best question for Brian, I think. But
Thank you. Through the chair, yes, I believe they've been awarded. GM Hartman was dealing with that, but he's away this week.
Okay. I was under the impression that we were going to review them. Okay, thank you.
okay, and just a staff update. We're welcoming 9 seasonal laborers with 3 seasonal grader operators for the summer months. They support various maintenance and operational activities throughout the summer. Interviews and offer letters are all out, and I believe we have the offer letters back, and we should have everybody full force for their onboarding May 4th for the season. At this time, I'm open for comments and questions.
Okay, anyone more questions? Bo?
I'd like to thank you for adding the additional information that we requested in the last meeting to your presentation, and looking forward to some more of that happening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bo. Anyone else? If not, thank you very much, and we'll entertain a motion to accept the report for information. Bo moves it. Discussion? All in favor? That's carried. All right, so I see our auditor is here. Are you ready to do? Okay, so we're going to move to 6.1, and it'll be Curtis Friesen will be presenting our financial statements. Go
Okay,
ahead,
thank
Curtis.
you. Good morning, everybody. So yeah, just here to say a few words about the audit, the financial statements. So recently completed the financial statement audit for the county's 2025 year end. We provided draft financial statements to management, so they've had a chance to go through them. They're here today for council's consideration for approval. So as far as the audit itself, opening comment to council is that our audit went smoothly. Books and records were well maintained again by the county finance and accounting department. All of our questions were answered. Any kind of supporting documentation that we wanted to see, through our audit testing was provided. So from our point of view, the process itself went smoothly and, good clean process. It didn't result in any issues or concerns to bring to council's attention in terms of how the county goes about doing its day-to-day accounting, record keeping. So no issues to note. Every financial statement has some estimates in it. The two largest estimates for the county's financial statement is annually we have to assess property tax receivables and see what kind of allowance is needed for the potentially uncollectible amounts. So that is one. The other one is the amortization of your capital assets, the useful life that's being used for the assets, the amortization rate, those are estimates. So the only reason I'm bringing that up is just as we go through the audit process, we look at those estimates and we just want to say to council that we're comfortable with what management did with both of those two large estimate areas. Again, no difficulties completing the audit, and always want to point out that we are independent. Myself, my audit team, our firm, we're not involved with the county in any other way that would hinder us from completing a financial statement audit and issuing an opinion. So just some of those comments that we're supposed to communicate with councils. Then on to the audit report itself. So first paragraph is where we give our opinion that based on the work we did, we're comfortable signing off on the 2025 financial statements and saying that they're a fair and reasonable representation of what happened at the county in 2025. The audit report there on the bottom of the first page talks about management's responsibilities in the financial reporting process. Second page talks more about the auditor's responsibilities. That is all standard wording that you would see in any clean audit opinion. So that's the audit side of things, and then I usually make a few comments on the numbers. So statement of financial position, so we're looking here at the assets, liabilities, and accumulated surplus of the county at the end of December. So top of the page, you see cash in the bank, a big increase from 8.7 up to 15.6 million in cash available at year end. So we'll see that, you had an operating surplus. A few other factors caused the cash balance to increase. Accounts receivable, primarily that's, the province owes you some funding for STIP grant funding for bridge work. So that's a big item in there. And then the property tax receivable are the other big item. Loans receivables primarily is the balance with Lac St. Anne Foundation. So many years ago, debt was taken out on behalf of the foundation. So the county shows a receivable, a loan receivable, and a debt offsetting debt. The foundation looks after all those payments. I mean, they flow through the county, but that's all the county is reporting. Long-term investments, so you have a variety of GICs, just over $9 million. Total financial assets, just over 30 million. Liabilities are the regular payables outstanding at the end of the year. You have deposit liabilities, deferred revenue, primarily grants that the county has received that they haven't spent yet in accordance with various grant funding agreements, so 2.2 million there. A couple lines down, you see the long-term debt. So you did add $2.1 million in new debt, but your annual payments on all of your debt was about 1.2. So you're up about $1 million net. Total liabilities, just over 17 million, leaves you in a net financial asset position of 13. So again, that's an indicator you're looking at, and positive increase compared to last year. After the financial assets, you have what we call the non-financial. So you have some inventory, prepaid expenses, and then the big number is your tangible capital assets. So that is the book value of all of the infrastructure, roads, bridges, water lines, those types of things, your buildings, your equipment. So started the year at 67.3 million. You added about 8.7 million in new capital spending, so a variety of equipment, capital road work, bridge work. So that was your 8.7 in. And then every year everything gets amortized. Amortization was about 5.6 million. So that's how you move from 67 up to 69. 70 million total non-financial. You add that to the financial assets, gives you a total accumulated surplus of 84 million. So about a $6 million increase over last year. So pretty healthy looking statement of financial position. Couple comments on the next page, your statement of operations. accumulated surplus. So here we're looking at the revenues, expenses for the year. Middle column is your 2025 amounts. Got comparisons to budget, comparisons to 2024. So net tax revenue, 24.6 million, about a 10% increase compared to the year before, right in line with your budget. About 6% was related to assessment, and the other part was related to increased rates. So 24.6. After that, sale and user charges. So these are a variety of different fees and charges from really all of the departments within the county. Some of the larger ones, your transfer station utility fee, just over $1 million. Aggregate levies, about 700,000. Fire-related calls and incidents generated just over 800,000. So again, it's coming from all departments, and it's all captured there under sale and user charges, 5.3 million. Government transfers for operating grants, so 1.2, last year's number was 1.8, a little bit higher due to the wildfire grants that you were still recognizing. Didn't happen as much in 2025. Other revenue sources listed there. Total revenue, 33.6 million. List of expenses follows by department. So Public Works, 15.8. General and Admin, 7.4. Always want to point out that when you do increase the allowance on property taxes, when we say, you know, we're adding to the collectible amount, the expense goes to General and Admin. So there is about 1.5 million in that 7.4 that is related to increasing the tax allowance. And then on down the list, you know, other expenses, total expenses, 34.4 million, puts you in a small deficit at that point. And then beyond that, there's other items that are, you know, they're not part of your regular operations. So that first line, government grants for capital. So you do get a variety of capital funding that you use to make your capital purchases. So $4.6 million of revenue was recognized to help assist in funding that 8.6 million of capital spending. Variety of equipment was sold, replaced. You had that issue with the fire at the storage building, so kind of the insurance proceeds and all that netted out to a gain, 1.3. Contributed tangible capital assets. The county took over a few pieces of land, so that gets recorded in your books just at the assessed value. So that's a non-cash transaction, but it's something that has to be recorded. So other items add up to 6.3, and then that boosts your surplus for the year to 5.5. So that's the activity. And then I just wanted to make a couple comments on the notes. If you want to scroll, I mean, I'm happy to talk about any of the pages, but if you want to scroll to all the way to the accounts receivable note number 2, page 15 of my copy, which hopefully is the same as your copy. Again, happy to talk about any of this, but really just want to point out a few highlights. I think, here we go. So we talked about this allowance, and I just wanted to highlight it. It's right there in this note. So you see property taxes receivable, 6.2 million is what residents owe. And then down below, you see that allowance for doubtful accounts, 4.5 million has been set up as potentially uncollectible. So this is an ongoing issue, has been an issue for a number of years, primarily related to oil and gas companies. So really just pointing that out so that you know where that is. And then beyond that, just maybe wanted to look at the long-term debt note. So scroll down, note number 11, page 18. Again, just for information, you know, each debenture or loan is listed here separately. So you see the new ones, that $1 million one is a new loan. I talked about, you know, you added $2.1 million of new loans. So that's one. A few lines down, you see 600,000. And then one near the bottom of the page. So again, the repayment terms, the interest rates are all listed there. On average, over all of your debt, you're averaging out around 3% interest rate. So you have some in the 2s and some, you know, just over 4. But again, that's just for information. And then the last thing I wanted to mention was the accumulated surplus. If you just scroll down to note 13. So we talked about this surplus, 84 million, just back down a little bit. Yeah, there we go. That note 13. Page 20. So total, as I mentioned before, total surplus, accumulated surplus, $84 million at the bottom of that list. The important numbers are the first few there. So you have an unrestricted surplus, small number, 384, but then you have these reserves, right? So I just wanted to point that out. You grew your accumulated reserves from 17.2 to 19.7. So that's, you know, a positive for sure. And then always want to point out that the bulk of your surplus is though tied up in the infrastructure of the county, right? Not necessarily things you're going to turn into cash. That is the book value, again, of all the infrastructure, equipment, buildings. So your numbers that you're working with in terms of extra are approximately 20 million. So just wanted to make mention of that. So those are our comments on the audit, the financials. I don't know if that raises any questions for anyone.
Go ahead, Dale.
So I got one, and we go right back to the first slide on the cash position. We left December 31st at about 15.5 million this year, and last year it was about 8.7. Is that relevant to the fact that some projects weren't completed? Where's the difference in the cash?
Well, that, I mean, it was generated from their operating surplus for sure. And, I mean, you did take on new debt, so that, I mean, you gained $1 million of cash just in the new debt less debt repayments, right?
So say that to me again so it's clear. So 6.8 million is about the difference.
So operating surplus is your
That's
main.
5.5, right?
Yep.
So then the 1.6 is the,
Primarily the debt, right? That you took out debt, so
but put onto the cash line?
yeah.
Okay.
Well, it improved your cash position in net.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I just have a question on the note 14, salaries and benefits disclosure, especially since this is split. Wouldn't it be common to put the names of the councillors there and split that for transparency as to where that and who that money went to?
Yeah, it's totally up to your discretion. I would say on our statements, it's probably half and half. Some places prefer names, other places prefer division.
Just my personal opinion is I'd like to see the names on. I don't know what council's position is on that, but I just, especially in a year of transition, but even in other years, if a member of the public reads it, they know exactly, they don't always know what division they're in, but they do know the names of the people.
Yeah, happy to change the wording in that note as you want, for sure.
I'll have other comments.
So-
That's just my opinion.
And would that be something that
Note 14.
we would approach administratively?
Through the chair, yes, and we'll make a note, and Jillian's made a note already to make sure that happens. It's also, I've seen it quite a bit on the website too, so if council wants their expenses on the website, we can do that as well.
Yeah, I certainly believe in transparency, and the more transparent it is, the happier I am. Any other feelings on that? Do you agree, or?
Yeah, I agree.
You agree?
Like this one here, especially in a transition year, right? Because that's not true to us. Like, that's not our salaries, right?
Well, it should be clear where the money's going. So you can change that before that becomes, yeah.
Yep.
And, yeah, okay, thank you. Any further questions or comments on the financials? If not, I would accept a motion to accept the financial statements as changed, or with the.
With that amendment, yeah.
Yeah. Someone? Okay, Mike moves that we approve the financial statements with that small amendment. Discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much, Curtis.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, let's move on. we're on to agenda item number 8, assessment and taxation. So Rob, you're on.
Good morning, councillors. So I have 3 items for you today. The first is the agricultural parcel tax relief. So this is a policy that was introduced by the previous council, and the intent of this policy was to help alleviate the increase in the minimum tax for certain parcels. These parcels have a list of criterias that they must meet to be included on this list. And I can go through that criteria if council would like. Please? Yes, okay. So if we could scroll down, I don't have a page, but if you could go down to the policy itself, one more page, please. So this is the policy, and again, it explains some of the things that were taken into consideration at this time. But mostly what this is about is to deal with properties that have a very low assessed value at seeing quite an increase by the increase in the minimum tax. And there are certain criteria that they need to meet. So on the next page under 3 is the eligible criteria. So first of all, these must be government leased land parcels with an assessed value of less than $10,000 or less. They need to be farmland parcels created by government action. One of the ones that comes to mind is the Pembina, when they did the Pembina Dam. They took a bunch of land and they ended up subdividing it. So instead of what was a quarter, now it's two parcels in the same quarter, that type of thing. So that's an example of the government action that we're talking about. We're also looking at farmland parcels that are on shorelines or riverbanks where the contours of the land influence how useful that land actually is. And the other criteria is that these properties all must be falling under the minimum tax portion of the tax rate bylaw. There are, however, under 4, some considerations that I also make to determine whether or not, so they have to be meet 3, but not meet anything in 4 sort of thing. So under 4, again, these have to be parcels that were created by government action, not by the public. So if for some reason you decided to subdivide your quarter into 4 and then you ended up with 4 minimum tax rates instead of 1, that's not something that was forced on you. That was yourself. And sorry, that takes that credit. You're no longer you're no longer able to apply for this. Okay. The next one is if you don't hold the whole quarter, so if 2 people own a portion of the quarter and you're both charged minimum tax, I'm sorry, that's just how it is. There has to be, if you have the ability to amalgamate so that you could solve this problem yourself, that's another thing that we would consider to take you off the eligibility list. And then, of course, if there's an outstanding balance, that you have to be in good standing with the taxes and utilities, etc. And again, if your assessed value is over $10,000, not qualified. And the last one is that parcels were created by Alberta Transportation. So Alberta Transportation decides to build a road through a parcel and you end up with 2 parcels. The previous council determined at that point in time that that takes that ineligibility away. I've seen where Alberta Transportation takes a portion but doesn't create 2 lots, 2 separate lots. It's still the same parcel, it's just got a dividing road. and I've seen it the other way as well. So I'm not sure their criteria as to how they determine whether it will be two separate parcels or it just remains the one with a portion removed. But that is one of the criteria that they have on this. So part of this parcel, or sorry, part of this guideline is under section 2, council has an annual review of these properties to determine if they wish to continue giving the 50% reduction in the municipal portion of the property taxes. So in a sense, lowering it from $250 to $125.
Okay, thank you very much. I think just a quick comment. I mean, we're going to be looking at bylaws and policies. I think that may be one policy we may want to look at, but that's a policy we have to deal with presently. So I guess I open discussion on which option we want to move to.
Well, I have some questions first.
Okay, go ahead.
So the first one, what is the deadline for taxpayers to apply?
There is no deadline in this policy if they bring it forward to me at any time. Normally, I get these requests during the tax season. It's just part of the appeal process, if you will. And so when they bring them to me at that point in time, I look through them here with the criteria and make my decision. Then, of course, if they disagree with my decision, they have the ability to appeal my decision to councils.
Just, I think I'll grab you right away. For clarification, though, what you're bringing forward were ones that were approved last year, and rather than forcing everyone to reapply each year, you bring this forward because it was approved last year to do exactly the same. It's just, it saves a lot of administration and a lot of work for us as council as well. Okay,
Through the
Barry?
chair, that's correct. These were granted last year or prior years.
Yes.
So I had a question for you. There's about 7 or 8 properties that are 160 acres or above 160 acres. How's that cutting your quarter off or dividing the land? I know, why is it being assessed accordingly if it's a full quarter of land?
So the assessment on these properties, I'm sorry, through the chair, the assessment on these properties is a regulated rate, and it's driven by the agricultural use value. So some of these quarters are going to be bush quarters that have very little value towards, like for grazing or whatnot. Often they are leased and they are restricted in what they can do. They can't go in there and clear it and suddenly turn it into farmland and stuff like that. So
I wanted clarity because I seen 160 acres, 161 acres.
There's some minor values due to the regulated scheme of farmland assessment that, yes.
Any other discussion on it?
You answered one of them. The other question I had was, so then if a ratepayer were to apply tomorrow to you, then we would see 1 or 2 possibly come forth to council after that?
Through the chair, that's correct. If they were to apply to me tomorrow and I granted it, the list for next year's agenda item, this year I believe we're at 48, would grow by however many number that parcels were. The only time it would come to you in this year is if I said no and they disagreed and asked, we're coming to you to ask for a reconsideration on that portion.
So that would mean that if the person came tomorrow, that exemption wouldn't be for this current year's taxes, it would be for the following?
Through the chair, that we would apply that for this year's taxes. If they came to me tomorrow and I granted it, it would be applied to this year.
Good, thank you.
So even after June, like after taxes are due, we would then repay them the money if technically they would have overpaid?
Through the chair, that is correct. We do not have a timeline. We do have an appeal period ending on the 14th of July this year, but because there's no deadline in this situation. And I think part of that was when we originally came and made this policy up, it actually ended up that it didn't get improved until well into September after the date. So it was just, okay, we agree, this is how it's going to be, and we'd go forward from there.
Should it have a deadline on it? Yeah?
Thank you. Through the chair, you read my mind, because when we look at the policy, there should be clear deadline on it, I believe.
Well, I think that this is a policy that we have to take a look at, and we'll have a full discussion on that later this year. Remember. Okay, any further discussion, questions? If not, I would entertain a motion. Ed?
I'd go with option one, approve the refund of the 2026 taxes down to 50% reduction for those listed properties.
Thank you. Any further discussion on that, option one? All in favor? That is carried unanimously. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Rob. Next one.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the next item that I have forward is the tax refund for small parcels. This one is a little bit different of a situation. I give you high-level overview, if I may. So due to the way the legislation is written through the province, we end up with some small parcels that, I don't want to use the word useless, but they're indistinguishable from the surrounding area. They're under an acre in size for the most part. They have very little value as a standalone parcel, but I am required to treat them as their own parcel as a result of that. Parcels that are under an acre in size must be assessed at market value. They cannot be assessed at farmland. That market value is generally a vacant market value, which we know is the higher mill rate of the group. So all of this ends up with what was considered to be an unfair tax situation by the previous council. And at that point in time, they came up with this list of properties. At this point in time, I do not believe there is an actual policy in place for that. I don't recall it there being one, but this is something that we've done in the past for many years, is we've reviewed these these properties and canceled the taxes in their entirety on them. So if we could scroll down, I'm going to go to an example of a property. So if we could keep going down 2 more pages, please. So here's an example. If you look at that parcel, it's nothing. It's nothing, but it is its own separate parcel under law and has to be assessed as a parcel separate from the rest of the quarter. So that's an example of where we're dealing with a very small portion. I can't answer you how this ended up being created, but it is a legal parcel. It is a legal parcel under the land title system, and as such needs to be assessed as a separate entity.
Is the zoning aggregate resource extraction processing correct?
This, I believe, is correct, yes.
So we're
believe
giving
it's
a
correct.
tax rebate on a parcel within a gravel pit, is that correct?
In this case, this is not part of a gravel pit. This is just a very small parcel that's left over. When I'm looking at assessment, I use the zoning to help determine the value, not the use type of thing. So because it's an aggregate parcel, it has the ability to be assessed at a higher rate because of that value, but it's not, its use is best way to explain this, I believe, zoning drives value, use drives assessment. It's not 100% true across the board in every case, but that's kind of how it works out.
So would this have been part of a gravel pit at some point and it's just a leftover parcel, or who would have applied to do a 400 square foot gravel pit?
This was created, I have no idea when. It's one of these wonderful parcels that just exists, and I have to treat it the same as I would any other.
So is that the same owner as the rest of that quarter?
I did not look that information up. I could not tell you that.
Ask, can we amalgamate these into like just
They
put them
should,
back into the full quarter that they're attached to? I don't know if that it would work for all of them, but like this one, it seems kind of pointless to be there, yeah.
through the chair, that would be up to the owners in question to do, but I don't believe there's any reason why they couldn't amalgamate it back in, but because it exists today in this manner, I have to treat it as its own parcel, which results in that, in this situation.
Yeah, go ahead, Bo.
I believe this is another one that should be added to that policy that we need to review.
Yeah.
There is no policy.
There is no policy.
There's a policy previously for reduction, right, that we're reviewing?
Well, apparently not.
Not for these.
Rob said there is no real policy.
There's
Yeah.
at this point in time, through the chair, this situation was brought forward a few years before the minimum increase in tax that resulted in the last policy that we reviewed. That policy does not apply to these parcels. So I believe there are 12 of them, and if you wish to scroll through, some of them are located along the riverbank, and again, due to the topography of the riverbank, it really affects their value. Some of them were created, they're old road allowances that the one that comes to mind is it's through a creek. It's you know, how much value do you really have when 3/4 of your lot it's you know, it's 30 feet wide and 100 meters long or whatever the case is, and you've got a creek crossing it 3 times. So it's one of those type of situations. So this is how the previous council had decided to address this situation, and I've brought it forward every year since then to have a look at that.
Okay, any further discussion? So just a question on that then. So are we approving, or you're asking to refund the total taxes on that?
Through
Or
the
a
chair,
portion
that is
thereof?
correct. In this case, we are asking for a complete refund of all taxes for the entire parcel. So we have the dollar amounts, I believe, on, you'd need to go up to.
Yeah, it's $4,000, I know. Yeah,
So,
45.
yes, so just having a quick look, I'll go over the first one. It's on the chart on the 3rd page of the presentation, if we could zoom back to that. Here we go. So the total taxes on this property, given its size, it's 436 square feet in size. Taxes are $254.35. They also, because it's a resident, it has to be assessed as a residential parcel. They're paying the $100 recreation tax and the $25 wastewater tax in this case. So we're asking that the entire amount be written off for a total amount of $379.35 thereabouts. I could be up by a few cents, but that's generally the amount that we're asking.
And do we still have to pay the education tax to the government? Or if we wipe it out, we don't have to give the government their portion?
No, we would have to pay the education portion of that.
Even though we collect nothing, we still have to pay?
That's correct. So in this case, the property taxes that would go to the government in this particular case is $4.35.
Okay.
The total amount for all of the properties involved is $70.80 that we would pay to the government for school and Lexington Foundation as well as the police.
Is that amount for all of those properties on that list, total?
The total amount was $70. Yes, that's correct. This
Yeah.
chart is the totals of all of the properties on that list.
Go ahead, Ann.
Thank you. Through the chair, my question to Rob is there an expectation from these property owners, like, even though we don't have a policy in place, this is something that we've historically done, so the expectation is, or how far back does this go, Rob? Do you understand what I'm asking? Yes?
Through the chair, if memory serves me, I'm thinking we're looking into the third or fourth year at minimum. It might have been farther than that. I believe this happened after COVID, but you're stretching my ability to remember at that time.
Thank you, through the chair. And have we attempted, from the county's perspective, at any time to try and clean up some of these, meaning, you know, if they're unusable parcels, have we made any attempts to try and solve some of these issues?
Through the chair, not to my knowledge.
Yeah, to me, that would make sense, is get them attached to the land adjacent and get rid of them. You know, and just help them do that.
Sometimes that amalgamation costs more than paying the taxes.
Well, we may, you know, don't collect any fees for amalgamating and just get it done. But I'm not sure what's possible.
Through the chair, we have in the past waived the amalgamation fees on the county's behalf, but there's still fees that are applicable to the survey department, et cetera, and I have no idea what those would be. But we have in the past waived the county's portion.
Okay, thank you. Mike? Oh, no. Okay, and I guess put it on the list that we deal with that. But, so for dealing with this, anyone prepared to make a motion? Bo?
That we, what are the options here that we accept, approve the refund of the 2026 taxes, option 1?
Okay, option 1. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Do you want to be recorded? Sure. Okay. Jill opposed that. Motion is carried. All right. Next one, A3.
Thank you very much. So the next item on the agenda is the assessment update. Again, with your permission, Mr. Chair, I will just give a high-level overview of some of the points here. So legislation requires that I pass their audit on a yearly basis. The legislation requires that roll is submitted by February 28th to the province for them to perform their audits. We submitted the roll on the 20th of February. At that point in time, we passed the stage 1 audit. Since that time, a stage 2 audit has also been performed, and we have passed that as well. Just for your information, one of the major things that affect audit is our time adjustments. So the time adjustments on what the market was doing over the last 3 years. The audit agrees with our numbers, so they're very happy with that. And as a result, we have passed all of the audit provisions that are required by the government. So one of the things that we'd like to talk about is, you know, how things were doing. We are looking at, for the most part, an increase of around 3% per year for market as well. It's changed. However, the properties that stood out are the vacant lake properties. They actually seen a decrease over the last 3 years of approximately 1.2% per year. So that is in complete opposite of the rest of the county, the improved properties at the lakes, seen a where are we? Approximately 3% increase, so 4% difference, whether or not they're improved or vacant. Vacant went down, improved went up. So strange, but that's what the numbers showed, and the province agreed with it. So we're looking at overall a 0.6% increase in the assessed value for the entire county. This is $73 million in growth and $16.5 million in market changes. So we this year had 1,183 properties that were used in the analysis, 1,183 sales that were used in the analysis to arrive at the values. So very comfortable for me, lots of backing to back up the assessed values that we have on file. The last thing I would bring up is that there is an option for a stage 3 audit, but that is triggered by the province. The province has not indicated they are doing one, so we are good to go. Before I ask questions, I would just quickly go through a few of the items so you understand what you're looking at. Can we go to the next page? One more page, please. So again, this is the breakdown of growth in each of the different categories. And if we carry on from there, please, you are looking at quite a ways down. Keep going, please. Keep going. 2 more pages. Okay, so this is a snapshot from my system showing that these are all the vacant properties. There were 412 vacant properties that were sold over the last 3-year period during my analysis. My analysis happens from the 1st of July of 2022 to September 30th of 2025. This is farther out than audit requires, but I always try to capture what the summer market was doing. So as you can see, our median percentage is 98.3% and our COD is 14, so that's well within the government's parameters. If we could go to the next page, please. We are looking at 771 improved properties that sold during that 3-year period. Again, we're looking at a median percentage of 99.4% and a COD of 9.3%. So again, well within the government parameters. They're quite happy with that. And if we could scroll down to the next page, one more, sorry. So this is an example of the calculation of the time adjustments. As you can see that on this page, Q3 of 2022, seen a 1.5% increase. And if you go to the next page, I find the graph easier to explain. You can see the blue line is the amount it's increased, and if you go up just to this so we can read the top of this page, there's your 1.77% increase annually. So year over year, 1.7% every year. So that's how those are read, if anybody would like to go forward with that. And then the last few pages of this presentation, so that would start probably on page 18. Keep going, please. We got to, and again, keep going. There we go. So this is the report from the province. As you can see, it tells you when I initially submitted and declared the roll as correct. And then on March 16th, it has the auditor's notes that the stage 2 was complete and that these are going to be used for equalization. And then, of course, if you go down, there's more stats that just reinforce some of the information that we previously put forward. I have one other thing that I would like to bring to council's attention at this time. We have an assessment map on our website. That map went live yesterday with all of our new data. So this is what the website looks like this year. If you zoom in on an area, keep going in a little bit farther. Not showing it. Oh, so anything that has a dollar sign is a sale. Can we zoom out a little bit? Do the other way, please. Oh, at this point in time, you can see what the assessed value on each of these parcels are. So you can see here's 2 parcels of farmland. The assessed value is 43 on the north one and 49 on the bottom one. So these are available everywhere. Could we zoom out a little bit, please? A bit more. Again, keep going. There we go. We picked an area with no sales. What's going on? Let's zoom out a little bit more. There we go. Now you can see sales. So as you can see, we're showing sales from 2021 to 2025, which is outside what we've used in the analysis. But these are legitimate sales that were used in his analysis in previous years, so they're still showing here. Can we zoom into one of those sale pictures, one with the sale number on there? Keep going. And click on the parcel, please. Yep, just click on one of those. So as soon as you click on a parcel, please tell me it's not broken. There we go. Okay. So this is what comes up when you click on a parcel. This information is available to all of the parcels that are within our county that I assess. It gives you at the top, you can pull up the assessment summary for this year and the previous 2 years. So we show 3 years of assessment. It also tells you what happened to this particular property. So as it says here, this property actually seen a slight decrease of 0.6% over last year. Gives you what the average was, in this case it's rural market 4. And then it provides you with a link to frequently asked questions. And at the bottom of it, it explains how you can disagree with your assessment if you so desire. Would you please click on the dollar sign as well? Thank you. As soon as you do that, you get the sales information. It tells you when it sold and the sale price and information of that nature. So that is information that is available on the website to anyone. Can we scroll out and zoom into one of our subdivisions? Doesn't matter which one. Yeah, zoom over, nope, sorry. Can you go up to Nakamum Lake? Scroll to the, to me it's scroll to the east. There we go. So you can see that group of dollar signs at the top of the, right there. Yes, could you please zoom into that area? Let's keep going, please. So again, we're showing the dollars, those properties that sold, the assessed values of those properties are all there. And if you would please just click on a random one. Doesn't matter which one, just one of them. There you go. So again, same information. There is one that's different. So by different, I mean we have a different explanation on the map. Those properties that seen a decrease greater than negative 10%, or those properties that seen an increase of more than 25%, there's an explanation that something more than market happened here for whatever the reason. It could be things like a new development, they developed their basement, or there was a review by the assessor and he said, okay, this is not right. The end result is we need to be a reasonable estimation of market value. And if that resulted in a 25% increase, it's there.
Just a question on that. The 25%, how was that derived?
I'm
How'd
sorry.
you come up with the 25%?
I used my experience as kind of a cutoff on that. It's not perfect, but
That's
it's
an awfully high increase,
so.
especially when you're talking a lakefront property. Could that be narrowed down to a 10% increase so we'd have a better idea?
The reason I went with that high is because not all of the properties are assessed at that much when we're dealing with the hamlet properties and stuff like that, or the lower value properties, 25% on $200,000, that's $50,000. It's not great, but it means that it's still, there's something more than just the market habit is what I'm trying to indicate. Another example of that would be if they subdivided or they moved it from farmland to, they built a house out there or started building a house. It goes from farmland to anything other than farmland. You're looking at a 25% increase right away. So I thought 25 was reasonable. We can certainly have a closer look at it. I don't know if we can make it smart enough to do like a dollar value or something, but it's something we could look at going forward.
Yeah, I think that's something to discuss. I mean, you don't want that percentage too small, otherwise everyone gets changed.
That's correct.
And, it seems somewhat reasonable, the number that you've used. And maybe if we find that that isn't enough or that's too much, then it could be adjusted at some time in the future.
Yes. Part of that
And-
explanation, of
Yeah.
course, sorry, through the chair, part of that explanation is, encouragement for them to call us. If they have
Yeah.
any questions about why and how this happened, please call us. We need to be able to back up our numbers with actual sales.
Okay, Ann?
Thank you. Through the chair, I just would encourage council and the public to use this tool because it's new, we're testing it, we'd like feedback, but be mindful that we have limitations. So while we welcome feedback, we may not be able to incorporate it all. I want to manage expectations, but we would appreciate saying, is it useful, is it helpful, are there areas we can improve?
Thank you.
Bo?
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
it's a great tool. And I think my hat's off to you to set it up. Perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah, total agreement. Yeah. Okay. Are you done?
Through the chair, yes, that is my presentation.
Okay, Bo.
Okay, I'm
has a
going
question.
back to the increases in vacant lakefront lots of 1.2% or decrease, sorry,
Yes.
and a 3% increase in lakefronts in general.
Mm-hmm.
Are we talking in subdivisions or rural
So
or or average?
Through the chair, I'll start by explaining that what we consider to be lakefront are generally not rural. So there are I would like to say that anything within a mile of a major lake is generally considered to be lakefront, but it doesn't work out exactly that way in all cases. But definitely we're not talking about subdivisions such as Golden Glen or something like that. We're talking about properties that are not immediately adjacent, but very close proximity to the lake. The difference is they need to be influenced by the lake. We've found that those properties out in the general municipality are not influenced to the same amount and degree as the lake properties are. So we've created, in a sense, two separate areas. And for the most part, they are not farmland. They are our subdivisions and our lakefront properties.
So that increase could be increased by improvements rather than just lot value?
In this case, no, it's not. What we're looking at is actual sales of vacant land. They do not consider whether or not it's to be improved. It's two separate groups. This was vacant at the time it was sold, and how does that compare to previous years? And then the analysis says vacant properties with no improvements on it have seen a decrease. Have I answered your question, Councillor?
No,
not
I'm a little
sure.
confused, but I think I'll get to the bottom of it yet. So basically, the difference in increases, what causes that? and the decrease?
So
What
that,
caused that big difference?
that is what the market has indicated, that purchasers and sellers have indicated. I'm not the one who sets it. I just.
Right, the market does.
The market is.
So does that not create the market value of the lot value of developed properties as well? Is that taken into consideration?
Absolutely. So
Okay,
when
thank you.
I am doing the assessment of a property, I have a very regimented process that I have to follow, which I will try at this point in time to high level give an example to. So when I'm setting the assessment for properties, first thing I have to do is establish the value of the land as if it was vacant, regardless of whether or not there's anything on it. Then we go and we look at what is the highest and best use of that property. Highest and best use is basically four things. Is it legally possible to do what you're doing there? Is it the land big enough to do that sort of thing? Does it return the most money? So in other words, what's a good example of that? If you have a property that's zoned aggregate and you decide to build a house on there instead of developing the gravel pit, well, that's not the highest and best use. If it's got gravel, the highest and best use is the gravel, that type of thing. And there's the fourth one, and I'm sorry, skips my mind right now. I know that there's four more. So once we've established the value of the land as if vacant, we use the vacant land sales to do that. We apply those values to all properties regardless of whether they're improved or not. Then we go and we look at the improved properties to determine how much the house added to the value of the property. And we do that through the analysis, add it on top of the land value, and then we go and look at what else is there. If there's a garage out there or a shop out there, we use the Marshall and Swift cost manual to determine that value when we put it forward on that value. So land value, improvement value, and then the cost value of anything else that's on there, all added together is your assessment.
So that being said, agriculture parcels that have gravel underneath them are taxed at a gravel rate, aggregate rate.
Through the chair, back to the use. Because agricultural property is assessed under the regulated rate, this is a good example of why the zoning doesn't matter. If you meet the definition of farm operations, you get the agricultural rate. So even if there's gravel underneath and the higher value on that, if it's actively being farmed, it's assessed as farmland.
But you just said it was the highest and best use.
That's correct. But as soon as we get into farmland, it's one of those things that I have to do. So let's use that same thing and say a portion of that parcel was used for gravel. That portion is assessed at the gravel rate. If the rest of the quarter, even if it has gravel underneath of it, is being actively farmed, only that portion that is gravel pit gets the higher assessment. The balance is assessed at a farmland rate, which, to be blunt about it, has absolutely nothing to do with market value.
That's where your permit, you'd have to get an extraction permit for the size, and that's what you would get taxed on. And so
That,
forth.
and through the chair, and we would actually do our best to actively measure it. So if you say that you've got 10 acres and we find 20, well, you're going to get 20. I'm sorry.
Okay, just clarify.
Nope, you had one other point you were going to add to the three items? Sorry, you had one other point you were going to add to the comparable properties, the highest and best use, and the other one. I
I'm
lost
sorry.
it.
It slips my mind right now what the fourth parcel is. I apologize for that. But yeah, I'm drawing a blank. I live it every day and I'm drawing a blank. My apologies.
Okay, if there's no more questions, I would entertain a motion to accept that report for information. Moved by Jill. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much, Rob, for
Thank you.
your presentation.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's move on to planning and development, 9.1. Trina.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
So I would like to bring your attention to this report that we have we're presenting in front of you. You've heard this one already. It's not unfamiliar to you. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. I do want to go through the timelines just so that you have a clear understanding as to what occurred. So December 3rd of 2025, a subdivision inquiry was received. December 30th of 25, subdivision application was received with a request to waive the area structure plan requirement. January 5th, subdivision application was deemed to be incomplete because there was no area structure plan. January 16th, a request to go to the Municipal Planning Commission. March 4th, it was presented to the Municipal Planning Commission. A motion was made for council to review the municipal development plan. I want to make note at this time that the Municipal Planning Commission had other alternatives. They could have required a concept plan or an outline plan instead of presenting it to council. March 26th, presentation from the applicant to council. March 26th, council made a motion to table the decision and defer to April 9th of 2026. Administration was not prepared to present at the April 9th meeting due to the council orientation that was anticipated for April 13th. Administration is now seeking a motion to direct administration to resubmit this application to the Municipal Planning Commission to the proper decision-making authority. Administration has provided the applicant with a detailed plan consisting of presentation to the Municipal Planning Commission on May 6th with recommendation for an MPC decision for a concept plan. The decision to do this was to alleviate the requirement of an area structure plan and to proceed with the application without further delay. I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Trina. Dale?
So I have a question, because I was the person that made the motion. We had staff members attending. Staff members should have indicated at that time to me that this was not the right process to take. Because I can assure you that if I'd have known what I know today, I'd have never made that motion. So I really want to record it that that staff member that was here should have stepped up and said, it's not the proper way to do this based on what our current plan is. So that really upsets me.
Okay, thank you. I don't know, you want to comment? You weren't there, but.
I'll comment.
Pretty much not much to say.
No, I'll comment, and we are aware that council can only do their job, the committees can only do their job if they're supplied with the correct information. And while we're not, we're always doing continuous improvement, but in some instances, there is no, in my opinion, excuse if the information isn't given to you to make the proper decision. So on behalf of that, I apologize. Even though we weren't here, we will make sure moving forward that you do get the correct information.
Thank you very much.
Is this going to be a common occurrence where an ASP is required and the alternatives are used instead?
So within the municipal development plan, that is what details what the requirements are for an area structure plan or a concept plan or an outline plan. It also gives administration the opportunity to go between an area structure plan, concept plan type of options, right, within that municipal development plan. Is it going to be a common occurrence? I would hope not. I would hope that unless we revise the municipal development plan, that we will be able to have that clearly outlined and structured for us.
Can we make a note of that for when we do our municipal development plan review and have a discussion regarding that? Thank you.
On where this property is located, I know the timeline is terrible, and I had a few discussions with the guy that was presenting. Are we doing a concept plan? Is that going to satisfy the private road usage to the north portion? If we do an outline plan or a concept plan, or are we gonna need an area structure plan to satisfy that private road that he wants to use for the north parcel?
The provided concept plan, if we're relying on the developer to provide that and to provide those details, so that will satisfy if it's provided properly.
And will that put some restrictions on what those 40 acres can be used for? Because if somebody puts a grain handling system back there, it's, you know, I don't see that happening, but how are we gonna prevent that, right?
No, I agree. It's a tough question to answer without having that concept plan. At this point in time, we still have no idea what the plan is.
But a concept plan does kind of give him guidelines what he can sell it for? Like, or what the next buyer can use it for, or no? Or is it just kind of open to whatever?
So the concept plan is specific to what that individual is doing. What happens in the future will be identified at that time and dealt with separately within the zoning restrictions.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? Through to Trina. Dale?
You're asking for a motion to send it back to MPC?
That is correct. There is only one option available to you.
I would make that motion.
There's a motion for option one. I can't seem to find it.
It's option one, yeah.
Or option.
Send
Okay.
it back.
Send it back to MPC. Do a good job next time.
Now that I know the rules.
Yeah, just bugging you. Okay. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor? That motion's carried unanimously. Thank you very much. All right. Moving along to appointment of, agriculture services. Aaron, appointment of pest inspectors.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, it is I have two items for you. The appointment of our pest inspectors and our weed inspectors for the upcoming year. This is the annual appointment that is asked, or I guess mandated of us by the province under the two respective acts. So, yeah, with that, open to any questions or comment.
Okay, any, Barry?
How qualified are these people to do this job?
Quite. So they come to us green, like every seasonal staff member does, or relatively green. We offer quite extensive training. They do a weed inspection training, authorized assistant training. So they'd have the certification required under the act, and then they are supervised by us as well. Every notice is, of course, checked multiple times by us, and then like the notices do come before council as well before they go out. But yeah, they're quite well trained. Like I said, everything is reviewed, so their primary duty is just to identify and report. So everything is checked multiple times.
Okay, I'm wondering about the weed inspectors because I ran into some of them and they're not very good at their jobs. They didn't know what they were spraying. They didn't know what chemical they were using, and they sprayed clover and grasses, and they left the weeds actually still in the ditch. So, and that was a personal experience.
Okay, I can't speak to that instance without some background, but if you could give me the details, I'd be more than happy to pull up that data for you.
Okay, well.
So do the county properties get inspected?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Oh, sorry, through the chair. Yeah, we're not excluded. We're also held to the same act. So.
Okay, further questions?
Most of this, is that done through the summer temporary employment program?
Yeah, some of them do qualify for the STEP program, depending on the criteria of the, yeah, but absolutely. Yeah, you bet.
And we have quite a number here now. The same names are weed inspectors and pest inspectors, so they do that at the same time?
Yeah, so it gives us the opportunity, if we have inclement weather or where they're not able to spray or mow or what have you, we can utilize the same staff for, multiple aspects of the program.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Someone,
One
okay.
quick comment. So, how do you evaluate that number of people you have is correct?
So that is our entire seasonal staff. So, but as far as inspectors, through our Ag Service Board grant, it's mandated basically the level of, the ask is that we visit every property. Through the grant, they've accepted the rotation that we've presented to them. So I believe it's every 4 years we touch these properties or we get eyes on them as best we can. So that was accepted by the province, and this is the staff it takes to make that happen.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, someone prepared to make a motion? Oh, Ed, which motion? I guess there's only one. All right, a motion to appoint those names that you see there for the 26 growing season? Yeah.
I'll move that
Yeah,
motion.
I think I did already. Yeah. All right, any further discussion? All those in favor? Carried unanimously. All right. Next is the weeds, that was pest. So we need two separate motions, do we?
Yeah,
All right.
through the chair, two different acts.
Yeah,
so.
okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, so basically the exact same thing. This one just happens to be through the Weed Act rather than the Pest Act. But yeah, same comments and similar programming.
All right, a motion for that? Bo, did you want to, or Jill? Okay, Jill moves that same names. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Aaron. All right. Next, Fire Services. Chief Randy. I'm glad you're not out fighting fire.
Good morning, Council. Before you today is the results of our Community Emergency Plan review by the Alberta Emergency Management Agency. It's a plan that we are required to do, or a review that we're required to do annually. In accordance to the Emergency Management Act, a local authority, us, is responsible for direction and control of our emergency response. We have to have emergency plans in place to effect that to happen. Under the local authority emergency management regulation, we must undertake and make the plan available to the Alberta Emergency Management Agency for review and comment annually. In 2024 through 2025, our emergency management team conducted a full review of our municipal emergency response plan known as the MEMP in accordance with the after action report that came out of our May 2023 wildfires event with those lessons learned. We undertook to revamp the MEMP at that time. It was presented and approved by council. And new MEMP was reviewed July 4th in 2025 by AEMA field officers. And it was determined that it met the requirements of the Act and regulation. On March 30th of this year, field officers again reviewed our MEMP, and we're before council today just to highlight the results. The top two concerned council directly. Staff transitions and council election changes resulted in not being able to conduct the required emergency advisory committee and emergency management agency meetings. And all new councillors have not yet completed the required local authority of the elected officials course. AEMA introduced a new risk assessment tool called HIRA in 2025, and adjusting current risk assessments to this new platform is recommended. Therefore, Carol and I attended the training session that was held in Whitecourt in January of 2026 to gain knowledge on the next steps for implementation. Development of a specific plan with dates and courses was recommended over the current generic training and exercise plan that we have in our current MEMP. And tabletop and functional exercise were highlighted as delayed as a result of contractor issues. 3 attempts to host these courses, host the functional exercise as attempted were throughout 2025 and 2026 were derailed by the contractor, and a new contractor has since been retained and the scheduling is underway. The emergency management bylaw is current and having been updated in May 23rd, 2024. And both myself and Carol, as the DEM and DEP-DEM, meet and exceed the mandatory requirements for incident command training, having all 5 ICS training courses in addition to ICS trainer for ICS 200, and that's the incident command system training. And participation with regional all hazards management teams. We actually are part of the all hazard team in Zone 1 in Northwest, and also the central team as well. County employees were highlighted with assigned emergency management responsibilities, meet the requirement of the basic emergency management and ICS 100 training, and a significant number of those employees, as reviewed, exceed the basic requirement of the completion with the ICS 200. The plan has included a number of best practices, such as post-event procedure, as well as strong hazard-specific plans for wildfire, severe weather, transportation, dangerous goods, hazardous materials, road incidents, and communication failure. So some best practice recommendations that were made by the field officers: strengthening the existing evacuation plan and the shelter-in-place plan, developing a purchasing process, developing a documentation plan, continuing to work on agreements and contracts with major suppliers for emergency supplies, strengthening the existing livestock plan and include pets and companion animals as well, and strengthening the existing emergency social services plan, or the ESS plan. So we have committed as the emergency management team to review these recommendations, develop strategies, and implement changes throughout 2026 and 2027. Strategies already committed to in 2026 include the finalization of the Emergency Management Preparedness Planning Grant that we received, utilizing the remaining funds for tabletop exercises, and the additional training of staff and regional municipal partners in a functional exercise that is now scheduled for October 2026. A copy of this plan is before you, and the review letter as well are attached for your review. So what we're asking today is that County Council receive the 2025-2026 Alberta Emergency Management Agency Annual Review for information.
Okay, thank you very much. I do have a question as it pertains to council, that we're supposed to have training and we haven't done that. When is that planned?
It's not currently planned yet, but through the chair to CAO Mitchell, we will certainly inform council and work with council scheduling in order to affect that as soon as possible.
I believe, especially since we're coming into wildfire season, and I'd be, I think all councillors, but certainly as Reeve, if I'm called to comment on something, we need to know the process, but I think all of us as councillors need to know it. When our residents give us a call, we have to be fully aware of what the procedure is, and
absolutely,
I would suggest we get this done before the first fire hits.
Through the chair, just that we've been having these challenges with the contractor, but believe me, Chief and I have both been really hunting this down, so we understand the importance.
Dale?
So does that same token go with the advisory committee? Because I believe I'm sitting on that and I saw nothing.
I can address that, Councillor Johnson. The EAC meeting, we're required to have one meeting annually, and the intent was, within the regulation requires the council, there is some latitude here, within 90 days of election, take this program. What we're intending on doing, it's about a 4 to 6 hour engagement with council that we would have our field officers come out do the elected officials training. It is available online, but it's way more impactful to be engaged directly with them. And then on the heels of that, bring the committee together and then review.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Further discussion? So do we have any idea, Anne or Randy, when this training may occur?
I don't want to commit to the field officers yet, but what I have had is I've had a discussion with them to ensure that they are available. The timing was an issue. I believe we can probably do this in May, so stay tuned.
Through the chair, I would impress upon as early as possible in May. Thanks.
Yeah, I really do believe that this is critical that council gets this training, and I can't overemphasize the importance of that.
Absolutely, I do agree.
Okay, thank you. I'll motion to accept. Barry moves to accept the option for information. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, next, bylaws and policies. Oh, 5-minute break? Okay, 5-minute break. Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order, and we're on Administration 11A1.
Thank you. If you'll remember, we brought the procedural bylaw to council, and in order to remove the Governance and Priorities Committee section of it, we've given it a more review. We did have first reading. Today we're looking for a second and third reading. The changes I'll review again. County managers changed to CAO throughout. We removed the acting reeve definition because there is no acting reeve that we've used. We have deputy reeve. We've also cleaned up the definition portion. And as I stated, removed the Governance and Priorities Committee and definition. We also changed on page 8 under agendas that we will release the agendas on the Friday to council to give council the weekend to read them, and then on Monday they're released to the public. Under delegations and appointments, we changed it from the Friday prior to the meeting to the Wednesday before the meeting. It just gives us administratively time to prepare, and the majority of the people who come and do presentations have some kind of PowerPoint or something, and it gives us time to make sure we're ready for the council meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions? If not, would someone move second reading? Okay, we have two. Yeah, Bo. Bo moves that we approve second reading of procedural bylaw 092026. Any discussion? All in favor? That motion's carried unanimously. And third reading, will someone, Dale, move third reading? So any discussion on that? So this is for procedural bylaw 092026, third reading. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much. All right, so A2. Are you on that too, Ann? No? That's Trina again. There we go.
Good morning again. We're almost at lunch. All right, so I have two separate but yet connected items that I'm going to be presenting to you via these reports. The first one is bylaw 13-2006, and it is a bylaw to adopt the Whitewood RV Park Expansion Area Structure Plan for Lot 4, Block 1, Plan 1624304. Just to quickly go through the timelines again, application received October 11th, 2024. To adopt an area structure plan. November 5th, 24, application deemed incomplete, that they required an updated area structure plan. March 11th of 26, updated area structure plan was received for the continued operation of the existing 32 site and expansion of up to 63 sites. Administration has received the application and the submitted area structure plan and determined compliance with our municipal development plan. The proposed development will require an amendment to our land use bylaw, which will be addressed under separate subject matter in this meeting. Administration is seeking two motions. One, that council give first reading to bylaw 13-2006 to adopt the submitted area structure plan. The second motion is that council set a public hearing date as per the Municipal Government Act for May 28th of 2026. And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you very much. Dale? Oh, I thought you, you move one? Okay, so Dale moves option 1 to give first reading to bylaw 13-2006. Oh, motion 1. Yes, motion 1, correct. Any discussion? Okay, so the motion reads that County Council give first reading to bylaw 13-2006 to adopt the Whitewood RV Park Expansion Area Structure Plan for Lot 4, Block 1, Plan 1624304 within southeast of 325304 west of the 5th Meridian as presented. All right? All in favor? That motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. And then
Thank you. Secondary to that, it is still the Whitewood RV Park Expansion Area, and we are seeking an amendment to our existing land use bylaw for rezoning from Agricultural 1, AG1 District to Commercial Recreation CREC District. So bylaw 22-2017-01-2026, it being a bylaw to amend the land use bylaw in conjunction with the Whitewood RV expansion proposed development as previously discussed. The land use bylaw amendment consists of rezoning Lot 4, Block 1, Plan 1624304 from Ag 1 to CREC to accommodate the proposed development of continued operation of an existing 32 site campground with an expansion of 63 sites.
Were we supposed to do motion 2 as well to have the public hearing?
Yes. That should have been on the first one. So those two motions needed to be passed on the first one, sorry, before we continued.
all right, I thought we were doing motion 2 after this. Okay. So do it first before what you're saying? Okay, so we had motion 1, so we do need motion 2, and Barry is making motion 2, and I will read that. I know it's complicated, but a lot of numbers. But that a public hearing for bylaw 13-2006, so that's a bylaw we just passed, to adopt the Whitewood RV Park Expansion Area Structure Plan for Lot 4, Block 1, Plan 1624304 within Southeast 335304 west of the 5th, to be held in conjunction with bylaw 22-2017-01-2026 to amend land use bylaw 22-2017 for Lot 4, Block 1, Plan 1624304 within southeast of 335304 west of the 5th meridian from Agricultural 1, AG1 district to Commercial Recreation District, and we schedule that meeting for May 28th at 10:30 a.m. All right? All those in favor? That motion's carried unanimously. Okay.
So just to provide further clarity, so the motions that you just passed, one of them was for the first reading, and then the second one was to set the date of the public hearing. But to work in conjunction with what I'm presenting now, which is an amendment to the land use bylaw, the zoning part of it. Okay, so moving forward, so first reading of the area structure plan was provided today with a public hearing date set for May 28th of 2026. In order to ensure compliance with our statutory documents, administration is seeking one motion, first reading of the bylaw 01-2026 to amend the land use bylaw. And then a second motion is that a public hearing be scheduled for May 28th, the same time as the area structure plan public hearing. On this report, at council's discretion, council may wish to defer first reading. It is an option to you, but it is first reading, and with that being said, there is opportunity to make amendments.
Sorry. Another motion 1, 2, right?
That's correct.
Okay, it's up there. Okay, so I can't find it on mine. So who wants to make that motion? Mike? Mike will make motion 1. So we should read that again. So
Okay, I'll make the motion 1, that county council give the first reading of bylaw 2017-01-02026 to amend land use bylaw 2217 for lot 4 block 1 plan 1624304 within southeast 335304 west of the 5th from agricultural land 1 district to commercial recreational CREC district as presented.
Okay, you've all heard the motion. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Okay, motion 2, do you want to read that?
Yep. Motion 2, that a public hearing for bylaw 22-2017-01-2026 to amend land use bylaw 22-2017, lot 4, block 1, lot 1, plan 162, it's within the southeast, 335304, west of the 5th from agriculture 1 AG1 district to commercial recreation CREC district to be held in conjunction with bylaw 13-2026 for adoption of the White Mud RV Park expansion, area structure plan to be scheduled for May 28th at 10:30 a.m.
Okay, thank you very much. Just one question. So the public hearing will, there's one public hearing for both? Or we have 2 separate public hearings? They're both at the same time, I see.
They will be both at the same time, yeah.
So they can run concurrently?
Anne, if you could speak to that, please. So what he's asking is that it's all going to be happening at the same meeting.
I
But
know
I
at
think
the
we
same
have to open 2 separate.
Oh, I see
Open
what you're
public
asking. Okay.
hearings, right?
Yeah, there's 2 separate hearings, one for each on the 28th.
So I'll do the one first?
Yep.
And then
Yes.
then adjourn that one and then open the second one?
Yes,
Okay.
and what we normally do is we normally go through a sheet for you to chair the meeting and in and out and parameters, and Trina's going to take care of that.
That sounds good. All right, so any further discussion on that motion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? That is unanimous. Thank you very much. All right. So that moves to B1, County Manager. So the first item on the agenda there, election of Deputy Reeve. Did you want to talk? Just me? All right, let me just give a tiny bit of background. Our first meeting in October, our organizational meeting, we elected a Deputy Reeve for a period of 6 months, a term of 6 months. That is up now, so we need to decide what we want to do as we move forward. The Reeve was elected, I was elected for a 1-year term, the deputy for 6 months. So we've had some discussions about this in terms of how to move forward. And I'm just going to share a little bit of what we discussed, not, it's still totally up to council what we decide, but that we will continue with Deputy Reeve, and the suggestion is to extend the term of Councillor Johnson as Deputy Reeve. And but we are going to do a little bit of a change in terms of chairing our council meetings. We're going to start including others, not only the Deputy Reeve, but others that are willing to chair the council meetings, mainly for training purposes, because we want to look, council really wants to have develop our councillors that they're able to and learn how to do meeting chairing and other jobs as we move forward. So you're going to be seeing in the future, if council agrees, you'll see different individuals chairing the council meetings as we move forward. And we'll depending on what the motion is, we'll have the Deputy Reeve either continue it on or have different ones in the future. That is going to be a different decision. So with that, I open the floor to any discussion from anyone else or a motion. Dale, did you?
I was just going to say that, and what this council is doing is preparing the future, I believe. And I think that's a very strong point. Because some of us may be here, some of us may not be here, but this organization needs to operate and needs to have people qualified in those positions, just as we expect administration.
Well, what we are a team, and I think that is absolutely critical. And we want to, if a member of the team isn't there tomorrow, we want things to run smoothly as we go ahead. So the more training we can give to people, the better our organization is going to be. And you had a comment?
Just a point, if that's the direction council wants to go, the only resolution we'll need is to extend Deputy Reeve Johnson for 6 months. I checked the procedural bylaw and you can flip the chair anytime, so you don't need to make a specific resolution about that.
Thank you very much. Okay. Do I get a motion for Bo?
I'll give that motion for Councillor Johnson to continue on for the next 6 months.
All right. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed, if any? That motion is carried. All right. Thank you very much. Let's move on to proposed electoral boundary division changes.
Thank you. Through the chair, There have been, on March 26th, the commission that was struck to make changes to the electoral boundaries in Alberta submitted its final report to the Speaker of the Legislative Assembly, the Honorable Rick MacGyver. I've put this in the report. There has been some back and forth, and this is in flux right now because there has been some concern with the new electoral boundaries, but council did ask me to bring this forward so that we could have a discussion about it. We wanted to make sure that Lac Saint Anne County wasn't adversely affected by this or split up into too many sections. So you've seen the report, and I won't make any recommendations because it's in the middle of a process right now, but I'm sure council may have some comments about this.
Okay, I just want to, I've had some discussions with adjoining municipalities, and certainly the recommendation does affect our county quite significantly. It splits our county in half. We would have 2 MLAs. It puts the western half of the county goes to Jasper, and the eastern goes to Barhead, Athabasca. It goes as far as Athabasca. So it really strongly affects our ability to lobby when like it's with MPs, the same thing. When you get split apart, then we have to do twice as much lobbying, and you don't get near the interest because our voting power is reduced. So in this particular case, and I've had some discussions with some of the municipalities within our county that feel that the same way, even though it doesn't affect them quite as much because, say, Mayerthorpe, for example, is in one. But I think we should put a strategy together that and I did mention to Mayerthorpe and to Barhead that I would share with them what our decision is, and hopefully they would endorse that as well. So my recommendation would be what was in the interim report, where they put Barhead County and Mayerthorpe County and the municipalities within, that was one riding. And that really fits well together in not only geographically, but it has enough population to be in the parameters. And then they chose, I would say we, as quickly as possible, get a letter out to the government to encourage that. They're talking about maybe adding two ridings, and we would be one of those added ridings. And that way we don't lose proper representation. Barhead doesn't lose proper representation. And if our council is in favor of that, that's what I would like to propose, that we lobby the government for that from our council's point of view. Bo?
Yeah, just a question on that, and maybe Ann can answer it, I'm not sure. But how does that affect our numbers and the criteria for qualifying for other grants or anything else within our area? Does a number, I heard of a number of 15,000 or 15,000 residents is a magic number in that?
Through the chair, I think you're referring to Bill 28, which is next item on the agenda. Yeah, no, it's okay. And usually when it comes to grant funding, they usually just do per capita. So whatever our per capita.
This is just the constituency boundaries we're talking right now. The constituency boundaries. The next discussion will be Bill 28. Yeah. Dale?
So being involved with actually 2 boundary changes, if we do not say nothing, we are not heard. That's right. So it's critical. I agree about the letter, and what we really need to stipulate is this best for our rural county, because that's what we are. And there's been pressure to apply more importance to urban areas versus rural. And we need to stipulate that very strongly as well in our letter. And then, and also, the distance needs to be a factor. Because an MLA trying to get around and he has to drive 300 kilometers from one end to the other, it's not going to happen. So that's the two areas I'd like to see in the letter.
Through the chair to Deputy Reeve Johnson, I think the best thing to do is draft up the letter and council can review it to make sure that you're comfortable with it. I also think we should state the uniqueness of Lac St. Anne County, that we have, you know, such wide variety from east to west. So we'll make sure we draft that up within the next week, make sure council has a chance to see that.
Yeah, great idea.
Did you want a motion?
I would accept a motion that we draft a letter.
I'd make
and-
that motion that we draft a letter. with respect
And then
to Bill
share
28.
it with council that we sign off.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dale. Any further discussion on that? If not, maybe can we put in the motion, or can I just do that? I'd like to share that with our other municipalities.
Through the chair, we normally do with.
Copy 'em.
We'll copy it and we'll
Okay.
make sure. I did have a brief meeting yesterday with the CAO of Barhead, so we have that relationship. I think it would be helpful that we can let them know that we're sending the letter ahead of time and then make sure they have a copy of it as well.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so you've all heard the motion. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Now Bill 28.
Thank you. Through the chair, this bill has come forward and there are many, many components of it. So in my opinion, this is just a cursory conversation. I don't have enough background and information. Our lobbying groups, Alberta Municipalities and Rural Municipalities of Alberta, have started studying the different pieces of legislation. There has been some I would say concern with some of the legislation, the library pieces, et cetera, the aggregates. But I wanted to come and bring this to council, have a conversation about it, and then get some direction on how you'd like to move forward once we know more about Bill 28.
Okay, Dale?
Again, from my experience, I can tell you that the legislation is broad, but the regulations are very specific, and the regulation portion is something where we almost don't have control over. I think we would need to make it clear that any regulation that makes it difficult for Lac St. Anne County, we would not be in favor of. And I don't know how broad you can leave that, but there are certain things that we talked about individually with ratepayers, and some of those concerns might be totally with the provincial government approving the project completely contrary to what the residents actually want. So I think we need to be clear that the regulations need to be not loosey-goosey, for lack of better terms.
Through the chair to Deputy Reeve Johnson, are you specifically talking about the aggregate piece? Or more?
I'm really talking, that's one piece of that, right? But there could be other pieces that show up later on that we don't have control over, say subdivisions, for example. We don't know that right now because no regulation is written.
I believe the bill is very broad and very sweeping, and we should be monitoring it to see how it plays out, definitely.
My other comment was too, I know that the RMA is looking at it, but I believe we shouldn't sit back neither.
No, I like looking at what the lobbying groups are doing, and I make sure that council sees that, but we have to take care of Lac St. Anne County. I think it's really interesting, we're having a discussion on one hand about electoral boundary changes, and Jürgen has said this is very important for our lobbying aspect, and in the next instant, an item on the agenda, we're talking about things we have to lobby our MLA about. So these two things are hand in hand, I believe.
We should be looking at ways to get around it too. If they're just gonna pass it through, what do we do to combat that? We have to get our population up to the 15,000 marker. And if we don't do that, we're stuck by their rules. If we beat them at their own game, they can't control us. So look at an option like that if we need to. And we need to look at that sooner than later.
I did read through that whole bill, and I'm not overly concerned about it. I'm always concerned when government tries to regulate too much, but some of the regulation might be in our favor, in fact.
No, some of it is, but if you look at some of the details in here, a lot of it's not great.
Well, the 15,000, for example, that one is if you're under 15,000, it doesn't even affect you. It's the ones that are over 15,000, except the aggregate one is for everyone, right? And the aggregate discussion on it now, Dale's totally right in terms of once the regulations come out, it can change things. But in actual fact, it would make it easier for us if they have an overarching whatever the regulations are in terms of putting aggregate in rather than each county putting in their own regulations. And then the argument that goes to the provincial government rather than to us if we refuse a development like that. Like I can speak from experience with NRCB. The provincial government changed the regulation from county control to intensive livestock operations to the National Resources Conservation Board. And once that happened, then it was able to develop intensive livestock operations across the province, and a county couldn't stop them if you met the regulations, and which was actually a good thing. And so I think the aggregate one is similar to that.
I agree with you there, but it's the rest of it. There could be some stuff that's other problematic areas. If they were to specify that one thing, I could probably chew on that. It's the rest of the overreach they're pulling on.
Well,
there's some in here that 100% is overreach.
I'm totally in favor of pushing back against overreach.
Through the chair, what would council like, more information or direction? I don't believe that we have enough information yet about the regulations. I would suggest bringing it back to a future council meeting, not long because this is time sensitive, but so that council can see the effects that it's going to have.
Should we be asking the RMA people just to come here at one of our meetings to present what they are, their take on it?
That's a great idea. Yeah, we can do that and see if they can come in May.
Yeah, and then we can give them our opinion of it to affect their lobbying efforts on our behalf. Okay? Okay, any other discussion on that? Okay, so should we maybe get a motion on that we invite RMA to one of our council meetings?
You can do a motion or you can give me direction, so either or.
Well, I'd like it in the minutes. So let's just do a motion, then it's clear in the minutes. And so would someone be prepared to make that motion? Mike? That we ask administration to invite the RMA to present on Bill 28. Yeah. All right,
Some discussion?
discussion.
Yeah, and then will you give us some?
Put the mic on.
Sorry, will you give us some background information prior?
Yes, I will. Through the chair to Deputy Reeve Johnson, I'll make sure that I give you some background and on the legislation, regulations, impacts.
Yep, thank you.
Excellent, yeah, thank you. Further discussion? All those in favor of that motion? Carried unanimously. All right. Association of Summer Villages.
Thank you. And through the chair, there's an upcoming Association of Summer Villages of Alberta annual conference, and we do have a budgeted amount for 3 councillors to attend. The recommendation is for council to make a decision. The conference is happening in October 15th and 16th of 2026 in Edmonton. We brought this forward because it has been, previous council have gone, but why I think it's something to consider. We do have 12 summer villages located in Lac St. Anne County, and the majority of you, I think there's 3 people who don't on council have summer villages in their division, but the majority of you do have summer villages. So it's an opportunity to network with the different summer villages. You don't have one? No, okay. So I'll leave it to council to discuss.
Mike and Dale and Bo and Ed have summer villages.
I don't have, well, yeah, I do. I
You
guess.
do?
They border them, but I border them, but I don't, they're not.
Well, that's what I mean, yeah. They're in, yeah. They're inside the county, but they have their own administration. And you,
Through the chair, we have a relationship with them.
yeah. So, what do we need here to
Need 3 people to put their hands up.
authorize, people to go?
Through the chair, yes, authorization so that we can register people should they want to attend.
Okay, so, what's that?
I would attend.
Okay, how many do we want to send? Who is
They said-
interested in
They
attending?
said you need 3. You
Well,
need
we don't have to have 3,
Oh,
but we can. Bo? And Ed? Okay. So that Dale, Bo, and Ed attend.
So I would suggest we make a motion for those 3
Yeah.
to attend.
Okay, will someone make that motion? Barry's making it. Yeah,
I'll make a motion for Bo, Ed, and Dale to attend the Summer Village Conference in Edmonton.
okay, thank you. Discussion? All in favor? Carried. All right. Committee updates, county council committee updates. So everyone received them. Oh, there they are. So any discussion on them? Anyone want to elaborate on what they did? Something special?
Yeah, I found that the Paddle River Watershed Alliance conference was very informative, and I plan on preparing a report on that. And the other one that was very interesting was the Lakeview Recovery Center tour. I found that to be extremely valuable in our community, and I think our attendance there proved that.
Yep, thank you for
Yeah.
that. Anyone else, Barry?
Yeah, that, I will agree with Bo, that Lakeview Recovery Center was quite an eye-opener. I didn't realize we had such a facility in the county. It was impressive, honestly.
Just a question on that. Apparently, we were missing some tax on that. Has that been rectified?
It's in the process
In the
of being
process.
rectified, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Dale?
I just wanted to elaborate on one of the things we just, yesterday, at the Highway 43 East Waste, we gave previously those minutes and nothing was online. we're moving that to totally online, exactly like this county council. We gave it first reading, they might even gave it second reading, I can't remember now. Second, yeah, so that's very positive.
All right, anyone else to add to theirs?
Yes, we did the same with the Darwell Lagoon Commission. So, yeah, we're moving towards open transparency in all the commissions.
I think also there's an open house scheduled for the 7th of May in the evening here, and I would suggest that we all attend to listen to that. What? 7th of May. You need well, that's okay. It's just those that can attend. We understand that not everybody can always attend everything.
Thank you. And through the chair, just so you know that we're working on the advertising and we'll get that out post haste.
Okay, I'll just add to mine, which isn't on there. I missed it because it hadn't happened yet when I filled it out, but went to the 100th anniversary for this, the Legion of Canada, and Jill and I attended that. There was about 100 Legion members from this region there, and yeah, it was interesting. Jill, I don't know if you have anything to add. She stayed for the meeting. I left, but it was good that we attended there. Jill, did you have anything to add to that? Alberta Beach was a good one. That was the plus 50 active plus 50 group in Alberta Beach. It's their 50th anniversary, actually, and a number of us attended at that one. It's found out they have 185 members, and pretty impressive. They are very active. They go by their name, and it's I'm quite happy I attended. Bo insisted I do, and yeah, it was good. It's nice to see a group like that as busy as they are, and that we know what they're doing. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Ed?
I attended Sunday the Churchill Legion Pancake Breakfast, one of their biggest turnouts. They had over 150 people come through the door for breakfast, so I was just in the back helping in the kitchen, so it was a good turnout.
Great. Thank you.
I said a lot of sick people after.
Yeah.
Through the chair, I just want to say thank you, Councillor Gifford, because we are looking at having a pancake breakfast with staff and council, so you're up.
He's been hired after a long line of applicants. All right. Any further? No. If not, the agenda is complete, and I declare the meeting adjourned.